Hey folks, it's Famous Dave here again and welcome to video number 2 in my series on strumming. In the first video we looked at the basic movement for the strumming hand. We did some work with a metronome and we began practicing basic chord changes while strumming a simple pattern. In this video we're going to build on that foundation. We'll develop a method for inventing and practicing different strumming patterns. We'll look at one of the most commonly used patterns that we come across, the so-called Ghost Strum. And lastly, we'll investigate a test that you can try yourself to see if you've really mastered the technique. Now, by the end of the first video, you'll have got to a point where you can play something like this. Along with the metronome, here's my metronome at 80 beats per minute, and you can change chords while strumming. 1, 2, ready, play, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4. Now that's fairly straightforward, simple chord changes and a very basic strum pattern. Now, music would be pretty boring if that were the only strum pattern that we could use in all of the songs that we play. Most of the patterns that we hear consist of a mix of down strums, up strums, and also some gaps in between. Like this, for example. That is the fabled Ghost Strum, but more on that later. There are, just to detour slightly, there are some types of music that use lots of up strums or lots of down strums. I'm going to play a couple of examples for you now. They won't sound great on the acoustic guitar, but just so you can hear kind of the difference in these styles. Reggae music focuses a lot on upbeats. It accents what's called the offbeat or the upbeat, or what we learned as the and of the beat in our last lesson, and it sounds a bit like this. One and, one and, So most of the strums there are up strums rather than down strums. Lots of rock and punk music, on the other hand, relies on extremely fast down strums, often very, very fast tempos. It's loud and it's aggressive. It's not really an acoustic style, but I'll give it a go anyway. Here's just a punk riff. Johnny Rotten, eat your heart out. Again, as I said, not terribly great sounding, but it's all down strums. It gives a very aggressive sound, a lot of energy in the strumming hand, but it's all down strums, nothing on the up strum there. However, back here in the middle of the musical spectrum, things tend to be a bit more relaxed. I'll demonstrate the Ghost Strum for you once again, and then we look at how to work towards playing it, and also how to create your own strum patterns. So, this is the Ghost Strum. You've heard it in songs such as Best Day by Taylor Swift. I'm 5 years old, it's getting cold, I've got my big coat on. I hear your laugh and look up smiling at you. I run and run. And on she goes. That's actually played on capo 6, but the strumming pattern is the same. Now, this Ghost Strum is so called because there are 2 strums missing or ghosted from the constant down, up, down, up, down, up pattern. Well, don't look at me, I didn't name it. Anyway, you might have also heard it referred to as the down, down, up, down, up, or D, D, U, U, D, U strum pattern, because those are the directions of the strumming hands as they strike the strings. Another not great name, but we are where we are. Anyway, playing this is unfortunately a little bit trickier than simply leaving out two strums as we swing our pendulum or strumming arm. If you give this a try, you'll see that you might end up making kind of jerky movements with your strumming arm as you try and kind of think your way through the pattern. The problem is when our brain thinks skip a strum, what usually happens is it also thinks no strum means no movement. And that's where the problem lies. What happens then is you can end up with a pendulum that looks like this, instead of being nice and smooth and relaxed. So what we really want is for the pendulum, the strumming arm, to be relaxed as it swings back and forth. And in order to do that, we have to kind of hack the brain into keeping the arm moving all of the time. We are going to use a couple of tools to help us with this. One tool is a pen and a piece of paper, specifically this piece of paper, which you can download from my website and print at home. And the other tool is our hands, but maybe not in the way you think. So this document is 2 pages. The first page explains a little bit about the Ghost Strum. Uses this sequence of up and down arrows to kind of describe it and show the movements involved. The second page is the one that we're going to concentrate on, because this is the page that we'll use to train ourselves to be able to hack the brain like I described earlier. We're basically going to use this page to invent patterns using these blank templates on the sheet, and then we're going to practice playing them on the guitar. So the process is in 3 steps. Step 1, cross out a few random arrows. Doesn't matter whether they're up or downs, 2 or 3 is enough to cross out for now. Step 2, we're going to use our left and right hands to sort of map out the rhythm while saying the pattern out loud. Now, I will go into that in more detail in just a little bit. The third step is to transfer the rhythm onto the guitar while still saying the pattern out loud. So here's my step 1 on the screen now. Work through this one with me, and then you can use your sheet to develop your own versions. Now, step 2 is where things take a turn. We're going to use our fretting hand as a sort of map for our bar, because there are 4 gaps in between the fingers, and we're going to make these gaps represent the downbeats. So watch this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or if you like, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So I'm just using my right hand here to sort of drop my finger into the gap. That's a downbeat, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And all the while the strumming hand is moving just like it does when we hold the guitar. So let's add the pattern now we've just created by saying it out loud while we use our map here. So you can see it on screen and count it with me. I'm going to turn my hand the other way because it's sore to hold it that way. So this is a little bit easier. So we have down, down, up, down, up, up. And again, down, down, up, down, up, up. Or if you prefer to go by the numbers, it's 1, 2, and 3, and. And just like when we strum, this is the really important thing, the strumming hand keeps moving all the time, even though we're not necessarily saying or making a sound for each of those movements. Now this might take a little longer than 2 repetitions in order to feel comfortable with it, so please do repeat it as often as you need to before you move on to the next step. However, for the sake of moving along in this video, so it doesn't wind up being an hour long, I'm going to jump to step 3 and play this pattern on the guitar. So my metronome is set to 60 BPM. I'm going to play the chord of G and I'm ready to go. So here we go. Ready, play. Down, down, up, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, up, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And with the numbers 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. relax. Lovely. Now the act of actually skipping the strum either on a downward or an upward movement is very, very subtle. It's just the tiniest move of the arm away from the guitar. It's barely perceptible. You shouldn't be able to see it while you're watching someone play. But it is enough to ensure that the plectrum, or your fingers if you're not using a pick, doesn't actually hit the strings. I've always said that if you turn the volume down while you're watching a video of someone playing the guitar, you shouldn't be able to tell what strum pattern they're playing, because all you'll see is so you can see the hand, you can see the strumming hand and the fretting hand moving, but you can't hear anything, and so you don't know what the pattern is until you turn the volume up and that bit is revealed to you. It might take a bit of work, but using your metronome here can be a great help, because you can slow the pattern way down to 45 beats per minute or something like that, and you can really examine the movement needed. So what I'm going to do now is I'll play the pattern at 45 BPM with a close-up of my strumming hand, just so you can see how subtle this in and out movement is. It's way less than this. You won't be able to see this happening, but here it is at 45 beats per minute. So 45 BPM, nice and slow. Here we go. 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1. See how little my arm is moving out from the guitar? If I exaggerate it. 1, 2 and 3 and 1, and back to normal. There we go. In real life, in your daily practice, you're going to want to practice a bunch of these types of invented patterns, which is why there's lots and lots of blank templates on that sheet for you, and you can go through all of them, you can print it again and practice loads of them. But in order to keep this video under an hour, we're going now to move on to the Ghost Strum. So this is step 1. You can see the crossed out pattern on the screen. It's just missing 2 strums, the and of 1 and the downbeat of 3, but those make all the difference. So step 2, our map with our hand. The metronome is at 60, so here we go. Down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. And finally, step 3, on the guitar. Chord of G, tempo 60, saying the pattern as we strum. And here we go in 1, 2, ready, play, and down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. Did you get it? I knew you would. Great job. This pattern and this process is really going to unlock so many doors for you in terms of learning, discovering, and figuring out all sorts of strumming patterns. But before I go, earlier on I mentioned a test that you can try to see if you've really mastered this technique. And here it is. Try to play the strumming pattern while talking over it at the same time, just like I'm doing right now. It's really tricky, but if you can pull it off, it shows that you've fully internalized the movement. You're not thinking about the pattern on a conscious level anymore. It's been sort of pushed down to an unconscious or subconscious part of the brain where it's happening in the background and I don't really have to think about it so much anymore. So If you've got to that point, you've successfully hacked your brain. Well done. So get ready now to move on to the next video, video 3, where we'll explore more variations of these patterns and some crazy fast tempos too. See you there.